Hello my gorgeous cuties out there and welcome. In today's video I'm going to do the eyeshadow palette tag part 2. When I saw some of my favorite YouTubers doing this, I was like, I need to do this. I love talking about eyeshadow palettes and I thought it would just be fun going over these questions with all of y'all. Also, before we get into the video, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Bree and I'm just a crazy lover of all things beauty. And I like to post a lot of fun, colorful makeup content. So if those are things you like to watch, please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. But with that being said, I think it's a good time to now get into the video. Alright my loves, here we are for another tag. I don't do these kind of videos very often and it's probably because it's not that popular anymore on YouTube, but every now and then I like to do this, especially if there's a fun one going around, and a lot of people I love and watch have done this, and I thought, hey, I want to do this too, because any reason to talk about an eyeshadow palette I'm for, because eyeshadow palettes are my favorite thing to play with, my most bought makeup item, the largest part of my makeup collection. So any excuse to talk about them, I'm all here for. So the eyeshadow palette tag part 2 was created by Samantha March and Ali Glines. I will link both of their videos below so you can check out theirs, see how they answer the questions. It's just so much fun seeing everybody's different answers. I will also have all the questions below so you know what I'm talking about, and I will link all the palettes that I mentioned and all that good stuff. So I think we should now get into the tag and these questions. So the first question was, what is your all-time favorite palette? This question was really hard for me to answer because there's just so many makeup palettes that I have, and it was like, which one is my favorite? I love so many ones for so many different reasons. So I narrowed it down to 2. I couldn't just do one. There was another one I wanted to include in this, but it answers another question in this tag, so you'll see it later. I'll tell you which one that is. But the 2 ones that I would say are some of my all-time favorites is these right here. I have the It's Spell Break the Rules palette. I adore this one. I've raved about it. It was very high on my all palette ranking I did for 2021. I think this was number 2 and I still love it. I still play with it. I actually have this shadow right here all over my lid right there. It's so beautiful. It's such a stunning palette. Like, these shades are just beautiful and I love them. I've raved about them and I think this is going to be one of my all-time favorites, and it's going to be there for a while because I pair this with so many other palettes. When I just want a intense foil, I reach for this. So happy to have this in my collection. I also wanted to mention the Adept Cosmetics Kodanne palette. Now I love all of the palettes, but I was like, I have to pick one. But honestly, I would be sad if I didn't have all of them, and I love them all so much. But this color story speaks to me the most. It's a little grungy, jewel tone. I love the shadows in here. The quality is amazing. This is another one where I'll pull like a lot of the metallics from, or I'll just sit and swatch because I think they're so beautiful. Like, these 2 multi-chromes in here are just so creamy, and the other shadows are more like foiled in texture. So there's different textures in here, and I just love this color story. So I feel like these 2 are like palettes I often pull and play with other palettes because I just love looking at them. I can just sit there and swatch them and stare at them all day. But I would say those 2 are some of my all-time favorites. Now, I'm just narrowing this down for this video, but there's a lot of other ones I could include in all-time favorites. The next question is, what palette do you keep for the memories? Now, I still love this palette. I think the color story is great and the quality, and I would still create looks with it. It's been a long time since I've done that, but the real reason why this stays in my collection and I hold on to it is because this is the palette I took on my trip to Europe. This is the So Jaded Kathleen Lights and Colourpop collaboration, and this was all I used when I went on my first trip there to Europe. I had an amazing experience and I went there with my boyfriend. We had such a great time together, saw so many beautiful places, met so many beautiful people, and every time I look at this, I think about that trip because this is the only one I had with me to create different looks everywhere we went. And it really did well for me because it had so many like shades to pick from. But I just love it mainly for that reason. Every time I look at it, I think about like a look I created and I can remember like where I was and what I was doing. So I will probably keep this forever for that experience. And I had such such a great time in Europe that we are even considering moving abroad to Europe. So I will probably hold on to this for a lifetime just for that alone. The next question is, what is a underrated palette? And I've said this so many times in my videos, but this is the Midas Cosmetics collaboration with the Basic Bee. This is the Perception Palette. I fell in love with this and no one really talked about it. I didn't see a lot of reviews on it. And I was just so surprised because the quality in here is beautiful. The color story is beautiful. And it's actually the mattes that I have all on my lids, like what's in the crease, the outer corner. And I have one of the shimmers in my inner corner. But this is what it looks like. It's beautiful. And the mattes are pigmented and blendable. These sparkly topper shades are gorgeous. Like this is the one I have in my inner corner. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's kind of bright in here. I have this all through the crease. I have this on the crease too. I have this on the outer corner. And I was just so impressed, and I'm just shocked that I didn't get enough love, and I don't feel like people really talked about this palette. And unfortunately, Midas Cosmetics is going out of business. They are a small indie brand. And it's just sad because I think they were such a great brand, such a high quality brand. So I'm sad to see that happen, but I do feel like that was a very underrated palette from last year. The next question was, what is a palette that's not your favorite but you can't get rid of? And that palette is the Lila palette from Natasha Denona. This is my least favorite one from Natasha Denona. It's not my favorite color story, not my favorite formula. A lot of the metallics here are muted and a lot more satin-like, but this was the first high-end makeup purchase I ever made. And I was like, oh my God, it's a big deal. I'm getting this expensive palette. It's gonna like be amazing and everything that I wanted. And when I got it, it wasn't that. But somehow, because this was a more expensive high-end palette, I can't let it go. And Natasha Denona overall is one of my favorite makeup brands. So I don't know, it would be really hard for me to part from this. And it just brings me back to that time when I really started to fall in love with eyeshadow palettes. And like I would be like lusting over palettes, and when I was able to finally make this kind of purchase, I was like, this is a big deal. So I'll probably never get rid of it for all those reasons. The next question is, what was your favorite collab palette? And I couldn't pick one for this one either. I feel like this is going to be pretty obvious if you've been watching me for some time, but the first one is the Club Nebula palette. This was the collab with Angelica Nikovic and Kaleidos. I'm sure I'm saying her name wrong, but I was like, yes, this is totally one of those. I've raved about this. This was really high up in my ranking. It's one of my favorite palettes to use, color story, everything. Like, she put everything in this palette that I love, and I love her channel. I love her personality. I love how her makeup looks are and how they come out and everything that she's about. And Kaleidos is one of my favorite eyeshadow brands. I love their formula, and my two favorite things combined and created a perfect color story. So this was one of my favorite collabs from last year, and it will probably be one of my favorite collabs for a long time. The other ones that I wanted to mention was these two from the legendary Diversa collection. This one was the collab with Annette's Makeup Corner. I mean, this is gorgeous. She's also an amazing YouTuber. She's fun. I love her makeup looks. I love her style, her vibe, and everything. And this color story was something that also really spoke to my preferences and makeup. The dark shades, the color, the grunge, it was gorgeous. So I thought this was beautiful. I love the packaging. And Oden's Eye is also a favorite brand of mine. I love their eyeshadow formula. I love their packaging. I love their face products, lip products. I mean, I've never tried anything from them that disappointed me. And then the other one from the legendary Diversa collection is the Hummingbird palette. This is a collab with the Fancy Face, and this too, like, is totally my style. The tropical vibes, the color, it's so bright and fun. And then there was, you know, a lot of deep shades too if you wanted to smoke up the look. It was just so fun. It's hit close to home because I come from Hawaii and I'm into really tropical things. So I really like this collab as well. And the packaging, stunning, beautiful goals. I mean, Oden's Eye makes the most beautiful palettes and designs and everything. So those were all the collabs that I really love, like some of my favorite collab palettes. Then the next question was, what was your 2021 favorite palette? And it's this right here, the Alien Cosmetics Lure palette. I could have put this in the all-time favorite category too, but I needed this for this question. But I have raved about this so much on my channel. It was #1 on my palette ranking from last year, and I tried 64 eyeshadow palettes, and this was #1 out of all 64 because it just makes me feel so good when I wear this. The metallics are absolutely stunning. The mattes are beautiful. There's like this mustardy shade. There's like this beautiful pigmented black matte. This like burgundy. I mean, everything in here just makes me feel so good. Every time I create a look with this, I just feel so sexy and so striking. And then this is my favorite. I want to pull it out all the time. It sits at my desk because I just love it so much. And I don't think I even mentioned, this is from Unearthly Cosmetics, and that is one of my most favorite brands I discovered in 2021. I bought so many products from them. They have not disappointed me. Color story, everything is so amazing. Like, I love the vibe of that brand, and they make so many grungy style palettes, and that is my style. And a lot of their palettes have dark mattes in it, so I love the brand, the quality, and everything about this palette, and that's why it was my favorite for 2021. The next question is a palette that you didn't expect to love, and it's this one right here. This is the Dollhouse palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I have fallen in love with this palette for it being more of like a muted color story where the colors are a little bit more murky, a little bit more muted, and there's like more lighter shades and like rosy toned neutrals. I was just shocked at how much I fell in love with this. Like, the options that you have with this palette are endless. I was able to create so many different looks, and I did do a video on this, and all 3 looks I did in that video were completely different on the different spectrums of like eyeshadows. And I was just so impressed by the quality. Like, all these beautiful deep mattes, the shimmers are beautiful and sparkly and creamy. They had a little bit of like lighter pastel shades. These shades up here are beautiful. A lot of these make beautiful inner corner highlights. I've just truly fallen in love with this palette, and this is very new to me, but I also think about this every time I want to do a look. I'm like, oh, I want to reach for this. And normally I like super vivid, bold, bright, like in your face colors and super intense shades. But every now and then I want something a little bit more muted, but still on the color side, or I want to have a little bit more of a neutral look mixed with maybe a little bit of color. And this just speaks to a different side of me, like a little bit more of a sultry side of me. So I've fallen in love with this and did not expect to. The next question is a palette that sparks joy, and it's this one from Glamlight, the Ice Cream Dream palette. I've talked about this a lot on my channel as well. I've done a review. I've raved about it because I just love it. The packaging just makes me happy. Makes me think of like amazing good times like as a kid, and cotton candy and ice cream and that wonderful like innocent time in my life. I also love the color story in here. It's also fun and bright and colorful. There's a lot of pastels in here, a lot of beautiful pastel shimmers. There's also neutrals in here, so I just get happy whenever I look at this, and I just want to create so many bright, colorful looks with this, and I just get happy every time I look at it. Like, every time I see this, I smile, which is such a fun palette, fun color story. The next question is the newest palettes in your collection, and it's these 2 right here from Colored Rain, which I just posted a review video on that. If you want to check it out, I'll link it below. I'll put it up in the corner. I love these. They're beautiful. I'm playing with them more just so I can really get my feels on them. I'll eventually rank them, but the color stories are so pretty in here, and I think Colored Rain did overall a really good job with this. Like, they're just so cute with like the 6 pans. They do have other color stories, and this collection is called the Chic collection, but these were the newest palettes in my collection. Then the last question is the first palette you used in 2022, and that would be this right here from Pat McGrath. This is the collab with the Bridgerton Netflix show. This is called the Diamond of First Water. I did do a review on this. This is the first palette I reviewed on my channel this year, and first one I created a look with, but this is what it looks like. It wasn't like my favorite palette I've ever used. I wasn't like super impressed by it, but I still enjoyed it. I still think everything performed just fine. But yes, this was the first palette that I actually used this year. But that was all the questions in this tag. Hopefully I didn't ramble on and on too long. I tend to do that when I'm talking about eyeshadow palettes because I just get so excited and I just have so many things I want to say about all the palettes and stuff. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. Were you surprised by my answers to these questions? And what would be your answers to these questions? I would love to hear from all of y'all. Also, if you're new here and you enjoyed this video and you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will link all the palettes that I mentioned as long as they're available. I think there's maybe only one that's not available, or maybe two that's not available here, but they'll all be linked so you can find them if you're interested in any of them. I will also link other tag videos I've done, other reviews and videos that you might be interested in. I will also link my contact and my social media platforms. I'm also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_Beauty, and I'm also on TikTok as Breezy_Beauty. So if you want to check me out on my other platforms, I would really love that. But that was everything, guys. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to hang out with me and hear me go on and on about eyeshadows. I really appreciate it. But I hope you guys are all doing well wherever you are in the world, and I'm just sending you all so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.